If you would like a complimentary issue to the International Forecaster, give us a call at 800-375-4188. And we have Robert Chapman joining us this afternoon from the International Forecaster. Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon. I'm showing tomorrow's March silver contract up 87 cents at 33.80. And I'm showing April's outside month gold contract up 270. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, silver was over 34 briefly.
Well, that would put it at 418.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're short, and they can't get out, and they're covering, and every time they cover, they add fuel to the fire. There's also today a new edict went in from the SEC, like FINRA, and they said they're not supposed to do any more naked shorting. So we'll see what happens. It's been ruining the markets. And so we'll see what goes on.
What do you think will go on?
I think this time they'll enforce. I think they waited as long as they could doing nothing about that situation, naked shorting. And it's been very profitable for the large firms, trading firms, but it's been dreadful for the shareholders. You know, throughout the entire spectrum, New York, American Stock Exchanges, OTC, everybody except them. And now I think they've had thousands of complaints. And they were waiting for this to come. That's why they wouldn't do anything about them. And now that it's in place, if it's enforced, then the naked shorting will stop. So we'll see. Question. Darren. I'm reading this thing because I haven't read it before.
Uh-oh.
Okay. You sound confident that J.P. Morgan's manipulation of the silver market will end after the class action lawsuit. Explain. If the court system is rigged, why will this not be another slap on the wrist? And will it not be covered by mainstream media, or nothing will come out of it like the CFTC dog and pony show? And I think there's a good chance they're going to do something this time. So we'll see. We'll know when we get there. But I've watched a lot of short covering activity during the last 2 weeks, which tells me that it's working. I know someone who talked to the SEC about their company, and they were downright hostile, negative, arrogant, nasty, and I think they were waiting for this edict, so to speak, and I think that's why they've been so grumpy.
Well, you know, in silver, Bob, there's we got a wasn't as large as what it was the last time. We got an increase on Silver Eagles. There's people out there saying you can't get Silver Eagles. Certainly the supply, and again, and, I asked, is this due to, silver shortages or whatever, and it's just like, well, you know what, this is, they're going to get us again, and, so you have distributors that are raising the cost of Silver Eagles, and certainly I think you're going to start seeing them ration, whether they be by the Treasury or by the distributors, and but we can still get the Silver Eagles. The prices did rise on them slightly, so you'll see a wide range of prices on Silver Eagles, so. But they are available at this point in time.
Okay. Letter from Melody and the show. Explain the difference between rhodium, platinum, and palladium. Go for it, Melody.
Well, they're all high temperature metals, and they're all pretty much used for catalytic converters, that type of situation, and they're all used for jewelry. And that's it. There's nothing fancy about them. Rhodium's a little bit more difficult. They don't coin it. You can't buy rhodium in a coin. You buy it in a powder, I believe. And certainly we do have platinum coins and palladium coins. And palladium, is usually looked to for it doesn't have as high a heat processing as platinum does. It's a cheaper way to produce your catalytic converters. And I call them my good economy metal, because in good economies you have people buying high-value jewelry, you have people buying lots and lots of cars, and this is what it goes into, the large part of it. So I call them good economy metals. They've been doing well. I mean, we saw a high of rhodium of 10,000, and the only thing that I saw that is interesting is it goes to show you where precious metals can go. They can go to 10,000, and it'll give you an idea about where some of these other metals might go also. So, and that's about it. Can you add anything to that,
I have a second part to this program, and he is currently reading a book that was published in 1980, The Coming Collapse and What You Can Do About It, by Jerome Smith. I knew Jerome Smith, and he wrote a couple of very good books on the silver situation in the 70s and 80s. And unfortunately, he died, and he was stricken, like so many other people are, with alcoholism, and it was a tragedy. But anyway, the book was given to him by his uncle after I told him the economy and our currency is going to collapse. And he just laughed at me and stated that this has been going on for years. I'm about 60 pages into the book so far, and it actually talks about everything we are going through right now with our ridiculous government. Jerome Smith predicted the 1980s as a time for hyperinflation. What happened? Yeah, we did have inflation in 1980, but it didn't stretch from there because they raised interest rates to 20.5%, and it just hung all the markets. And that's how they kept everything together. They couldn't do that today because they're too deeply in trouble. And what do they do with the rest of my questions? I guess I only had two.
You only had two?
Yeah, wait a minute. Hold on one second here. Okay, this is another one. Regarding inside sources and connections, what have you heard about the underground bases being built all around the country, and does that indicate that a cataclysm such as a pole shift is imminent? There is too much seismic and volcanic activity to be ignored. What's going on? Can you help us with that, Melody?
Well, you can read a lot of things, and a lot of the information is very very, well, it's been a long day.
Diverse.
Thank you. But, anything could happen. There is certainly strange weather, but we've always had strange weather. There's a little more credibility. Scientists have, we definitely know about the sunspots and the eruptions on the sun and how it can impact our system and so forth. So it's happened before, and it's going to happen again. Whether it happens in 2012, 2013, I don't know. I worry too much about today, but you do need to prepare. You need to prepare yourself for certain things, and I guess some things are big enough that we can't prepare for. So again, we're back to the water, the food, the weapons, all the things that you might need. It's things you can't forget, and even though things might seem quiet or whatever, it certainly doesn't seem quiet now, you can't forget to continue to add. What do you think about that, Robert?
I agree with you. I mean, the answers are very simple, and they always have been. And most people don't want to face the reality that the system has been gamed too much, and the price is going to have to be paid by everyone, including the bankers. And we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to be very nice.
Sometimes, Bob, I think a lot of the stuff that we see in our weather, it's all weather modification. That's where it's coming from. I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. If you look down to the Gulf, I don't think they had a rainstorm through the Gulf there since, before the leakage. They've kept all storms, all rain. There hasn't been a cloud that's gone over there, by radar that I've seen. So I think there's a lot of talk about the stream being stopped flowing because of what has happened down there. So I think there's a lot of stuff happening down there also that can affect the strange patterns of weather.
Well, I think you're right. And he also said there are different factions amongst the global elites which are trying to implement their agendas. Are there any good guys amongst those factions, or are they all equally as evil? I've noticed people like Jim Rogers doing what he can to try to warn the general public, while people like George Soros, former partner, trying to sabotage the public with bad advice. Also, is the Vatican really behind it all? Well, I don't know whether the Vatican's behind it all. And I know that George Soros and Jimmy Rogers work together, and in that league, you don't act together unless you're birds of a feather.
Where do you think China stands with their U.S. Treasury notes compared to a year ago? Do they hold more or less U.S. paper now?
I think it's relatively the same, but they have been liquidating, and they will continue to do so. And the big buyer has been the Federal Reserve. They now hold more treasuries and agency bonds than anybody in the world, including China and Japan. And their books are Mickey Mouse. I can imagine how bad it is.
Do you think they even really know?
Oh, yeah, they know.
Do they?
Yeah, they got very competent people there.
Yeah.
Working on their projects for them. But they don't tell you the truth. They're lying about everything. And that's just the way they operate. Silver's up 88 cents. Gold's up $2.50.
Here's the question. Today, Reuters came out and they said Egypt bans gold exports. The article states the export halt is necessary to prevent individuals from leaving the country with illegally acquired gold. Should the story be accepted prima facie, or do you see something more behind the headline?
Well, it's an excuse to try to keep people leaving the country with gold, usually gold coins. They don't want the gold going out of the country. More than that, they don't want the people to be able to take gold out of the country. That's a better way of putting it. But they're not going to stop them. There's not enough of them. It's not worthwhile. I mean, how many people every day move gold out of the country? 3 or 5? You got to be kidding me. It's not worth it.
You might be able to leave with your gold, but it's kind of hard to get into another place with your gold, isn't it? Or is it just...
No, it varies from country to country. Yeah. If you, the best way to do it is to cash out, wire the funds, and buy locally wherever you're going.
Yes, you can.
And if you're not going to do that, then you have to go through all of the machinations.
This is in from Jason, if the Federal Reserve's charter is still set to expire next year, and if that's when he thinks a new currency will emerge?
Can you answer that question? I got to look something up here, please.
Well,
I just caught me in the middle of something important.
Well, we can hold on to this question. I mean, he was asking you about the Federal Reserve Charter that is set to expire next year, and about the new currency will emerge. I don't know if the two have anything to go hand in hand with, but one would react to the other. I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. We're going to have a revaluation, and our currency is going to continue to go down, and that's inflation.
Well, Melody, that we had a breakdown in the dollar today.
Yes, we did.
And it's into the. What are you showing for a close?
I show 76.88 down 33.
A lot of people technically who believe it'll find support at 76. No, I don't think so. 74, yes. And they'll try to keep it from going through 71.18, which is the former all-time low. And my guess is it'll go to 71.18, and when it gets there, it'll bounce and say 71. And how long it'll fiddle around there, I don't know. But it's not going very far to the upside.
Where do you think the dollar would be if we did have $200 oil?
Well, I don't think that. I don't think that that's going to really lean on the dollar, because there's all kinds of other countries that are going to have problems. I mean, China, even though they get backing from Russia, but they're still going to have problems. And then, of course, Europe. All of Europe, with the exception of Norway and England, are not pumping any oil. Maybe they're still pumping oil in Romania and Palestina, but I don't know that. I'm just guessing. All I know is that we, during the Second World War, tried our best to bomb it.
Hey, Bob, did you see those pictures that were circulating that shows these empty cities in China?
Yeah.
What do you think that's all about?
Make Work Project. It's called command economy. They do what they have to do to keep people from revolting. It's a totalitarian society. And the people hate the government, unless you're in the Communist Party.
Here's a question from Randy. Do you think that the United States brings down the economy and crashes the dollar, that all American citizens already living in Mexico will be rousted back to America?
No. It all depends. You can take your money out of the bank and put it in the safe. That's not so difficult. People have safes all over the world. I mean, you can put your pesos in the safe, gold and silver coins, your important papers.
There's a break. We got quite a few questions to go through, so we'll be right back. I do.
What a moron.
There's a lot of them out there. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. But none of our lists. Well, I guess there's one out there. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Financial Survival, sponsored by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. I'm Melody Cedarstrom. And again, our telephone number is 1-800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs here at Discount Gold and Silver Trading. Gold today, $14.12. You have silver at $33.84. Platinum, $18.14, and palladium, $8.02. Those are the earlier numbers, the ones mentioned at the top of the hour, as I've had lots of requests to repeat those throughout the program. So we will try to do that for you. 800-375-4188 for your gold and silver coin needs. And Bob, tell us about the National Forecaster, please.
Well, okay, I'll do it.
Are you sure you want to?
Yeah,
really?
I was just reading this letter from Sweden here.
Yeah?
Okay, the International Forecaster is about business, finance, economics, social, and political issues all over the world. Published by email Wednesday and Saturdays, runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. And if you like to know all the things that you need to know every week, you would read the Forecaster. You can get a free introductory copy by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. Theinternational, FORECASTER.com. Or you can go to www.intforecaster.com. intforecaster.com. Or, if you have a question and you'd like an answer, and we answer everybody, you can use our email address, Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com. Bob at intforecaster.com. Or you can call. Toll free.
800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188 for your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. And, of course, all your gold and silver coins here at Discount Gold and Silver Trading. And, again, we do have Silver Eagles today, so whatever you hear out there, you must call me first just to confirm whether it's true or not. We'll tell you the truth here at Discount Gold and Silver. Premiums did increase a little bit on the Silver Eagles due to the shenanigans again. Hey, if they can, they can take advantage of the buyers of gold and silver, they will do so. But it really isn't too bad. It's only up about 25 cents, I believe. Gold Eagles, same prices as usual. 90% bags, they're running at the same price. No increases there. Silver rounds, they're still available. No increase in prices there, just on the 1-ounce Silver Eagles. So give us a call at 800-375-4188. If you didn't pick up on that special from Friday, I don't know what to tell you guys. There's quite a few of you who did, and I was still taking orders on those today. So remember, folks, if you listen to the late night program, if I can, I will honor the prices that I quote on the day program, the live program. And usually if I have a special, and let's say gold goes up $5, I will only increase the special by what gold or silver has done, whatever the special is doing. And lots of times I don't even charge commission on the increases, just what the market has done. So, yeah, give us a call at 800-375-4188.
I have a question.
Oh, you do?
How can silver bags be unchanged when silver's up 94 cents?
Well, the prices changed, but the premiums haven't changed.
Oh, I misinterpreted what you said.
Did I misspoke?
Maybe, but who cares? We got it straightened out anyway.
Yeah, the premiums.
But anyway, I just watched it go by here. Gold's up 280. And I got a question here from Mike in Sweden.
Thank you, Bob, for bringing that to the listeners' attention. And to mine.
Oh, Mikael. Some miners are hedged, I have heard, selling future production. This may cause problems. There's a little second part to it, but I'll tackle that first. Yeah, it's going to cause major problems for the silver producers who sold ahead. Because if silver keeps on going up, they're losing money. Dumb. You would have thought that they would have learned their lesson. If I was a shareholder in a company at this stage in gold and silver and they were selling forward, I certainly wouldn't own their stock. The rest of this question, is there any easy way to know what miners have sold forward? And the answer is you call them up and you ask them. It's pretty simple. They've got to tell you because they got to declare it sooner or later. But the companies like Barrick Gold and others that sold gold and silver forward, they've taken billions and billions of dollars in losses. Judy? Go ahead.
Didn't Barrick get out of all their hedges?
No. They said they have, but they haven't.
They haven't?
Yeah.
But,
and, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, they lie about everything. The firm is run by the Illuminati. And they've been trying, I've been trying to put them out of business for years. And obviously I haven't been successful. Nobody wanted to listen. I told my subscribers, and this was in a number of publications, reprint of my article, in 1992, I tried to get shareholders to sue the management for what they were doing. And nobody wanted to do it.
I know you got this question, and it's actually got two questions in regarding Ireland. I don't know if you have the one in from Robert.
I don't have either of them.
He's from Bristol.
Bristol,
England. It's a quite lengthy one. He says, all Irish voters headed for the polling booths on Friday. The European Commission bluntly declared that the terms of the EU IMF bailout must be applied, whatever the will of Ireland's people or regardless of any change of government. He goes on to...
And who said that?
This is the European Commission said that.
Well, what they should do is quit. Renege on all their debts and let the banks take the losses. You just walk away with the whole thing. As a matter of fact, they should leave the Euro, the European Commission, and the European Union, and never look back. I've been on radio there a number of times in Ireland, and I told them to do the same thing I told the Greeks to do. I mean, all of that debt in Ireland was created by the banks, speculating. Foreign-owned banks by the Alpha Group. Who controls the Alpha Group? The Queen of England and the Queen of Holland. The black nobility. I wouldn't give them 10 cents.
He says that there's an Irish politician, Declan Gainley. He says, we have a hostage. It is called the Euro. The Euro is insolvent. The only question is whether Ireland should be sacrificed to keep the Ponzi scheme going. We have to have a plan B to be misnamed bailout, which is to go back to the Irish punt.
Yes, and that's what I told them to do. Yeah. When in doubt, punt.
He says, do you have any feedback concerning the views of Irish Americans regarding the outcome of this impasse? He says the repercussions may be wider than the Euro, as the British government-controlled NatWest Bank has about 50 billion euro debts from the Ireland. Could this be a trigger for a panic out of paper money?
Absolutely, but not in the United States, but certainly out of the Euro. And I hope they do that. I've been advocating that. I mean, the British have put Ireland and Scotland through horrible, horrible things for over 1,000 years. This would be some nice payback.
Here's a question from John. Is Libya being balkanized in order to have their oil industry privatized and bought out by the U.S. and other countries, as is
probably
in Iraq?
Same thing. They have low sulfur oil, and the Saudis would have to pump 3 times as much oil as Libya does right now to make up the difference because of the low sulfur content. And most people don't know that. So the Saudi announcement on the face of it was a lie. Just a plain old simple lie.
This question is in from Gary. He says, isn't it really too late for those who refuse to see the warning signs and protect themselves?
No. There's always the ability to help oneself. I don't think it's too late. I still buy coins all the time. You know, there's the continued accumulation of freeze-dried and dehydrated foods. I mean, they're only going to go up in value. They're not going to go down. And you may very well need them. We have a 2.5-year supply. I get 3 different filters, and you don't want to know what else I've got.
I mean, the only time it's too late is when the product isn't there to buy. Then that's too late.
That's right.
This question is in from Bartek from Poland. Boy, we have them everywhere today.
Poland.
Exciting.
Hey, Judy. We got a question from Poland today. She says, that's wonderful.
In the last IF, Bob, you wrote that the Dow will eventually fall to 6650. She wants to know why such a number, and how do you do your predictions, because they're so accurate?
Well, you look at the history of corrections, and you kind of figure out where it would probably go. the difference between 66 and 72 is in round figures is maybe about 10%. So that probably would be a conservative, technical approach, possibility. And so I think that would be the next stop after the USDX broke 71.18. It's just hypothetical. I think it's going to 40, maybe 45, 50, but I think we got a shot at 40, which is 50% devaluation against 6 other major currencies. But, really, that doesn't mean anything. And I've told you this on the programs before. We're looking at gold. In 10 years, every year, gold has gained 15%, 15.25% on average against 9 major currencies. And silver, 20 3/8%. Now, I ask you, all the currencies are doing the same thing. They are engaging in quantitative easing of one form or another. And so they're all bad. They're all fiat. So why would I want them? I want the gold. I want the silver. All of the other stuff is hogwash. Right, Melody?
I thought I was the only one that said hogwash.
Well, after all these years,
yes.
You're rubbing off on me.
Is that what's happening? He says, he says, ask you about what's wrong with the following statement from Sunoco. The weak demand and excess supply in our markets is rising crude prices, putting downward pressure on their margins. He says, isn't that just plain stupid?
It certainly is. And I'm so glad we've got such perceptive and brilliant intellectuals listening to our program.
There you go, Joe.
It's not hogwash, it's garbage.
Yes.
Or as they say in Spanish, basura.
This one is in, he says, we must store food, household items, weapons that will become scarce and high priced. Precious metals values will soar as paper currencies depreciate. He remembers WW2. He's 82 years old, and you could not buy a car or even a bicycle, among other things. There will be war in the Middle East, and he has that underlined. Will imports of commodities and most manufactured goods cease immediately? Of course, back then, households were not underwater in their mortgages and did not have 3 cars, a boat, and a camper in the driveway, all unpaid for. But this time around, what will happen to the price and availability of things like automobiles, for instance? What will it be like, Bob?
Well, I think the demand will not be there because the capital won't be there, the credit won't be there, major banks will be failing. There'll have to be a realignment of the financial system and all kinds of things like that. And so it'll be different. You had a war to take up the slack. The assumption here is is not a war. Now, if we want to assume that there will be and there is a war, then everything changes. And the scenario that you grew up in and I grew up in as well, you're 7 years older than me, which means you were born in 1928. And let's see, you were 17 in 1945. You could have been in the military. But, of course, the war was ending then anyway. And they still kept the draft up, as for those of you who don't know. But anyway, if there is another conflict during this time of economic and financial trouble, then what will happen is what this gentleman just cited. No bicycles, no washing machines, no cars. That's the way it'll be. It'll be a war economy.
Here's the question in, Bob. This is in from GH. And he says,
Is this message in from Zamboanga?
No.
Oh.
Zimgumawa.
Singumawa. I didn't know we had listeners there.
Yeah, how about that? We have them everywhere. David Morgan had an interview recently with Jim Puplava. Puplava?
Who had the interview?
David Morgan.
Yes, I've heard about it. I was sent a letter on it, several letters on it today. And just more garbage in and garbage out. So what do they, tell them what they said.
So there's plenty of silver, and lo and behold, one of his references was none other than Mike. We are leveraged 100-to-1 Comex Christensen. They go on to say the only bottleneck in delivery is for the .9999 fine for solar panels and other industrial use. He says he believes...
Well, you know, Morgan came out last week with Weigard and said that all gold is going to be confiscated at $2,000. And they either are taking instructions from the government or they're morons, but either way they're going to be out of business soon because they're going to be dead wrong. And I don't know why people do these things. I think the main reason they do it is to get subscribers. See, most of these newsletter writers have 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 subscribers. That's all they've got. I mean, even some of the good letters have got 2,500 subscribers. We have thousands. But the point is, they're hard up to make money, and they'll say anything. And this is obviously what's going on here. And I know David Morgan quite well. I've known him for years. And I don't know what he's thinking of, where he's going, and we'll have to see.
Well, you know, a lot of these guys, we talked about it before, Bob, it's on an agenda. I mean, we were talking way in the early 90s about the loss of value of the currency because of the fiat. We educated people why they needed gold and silver and why it's so important and why you need to protect yourself. The dollar was going to lose value. Prices were going to rise. It's a hedge against inflation, everything that we talk about. These guys were saying in the 90s you didn't want to buy silver. They were just looking at it as a trade investment, not for what the real issue about owning gold and silver. So people could have bought silver when it was at $3 and $4. Instead, they had to get in when it was, you know, 12, 14, and 15. So, you know, and now they're saying to get out. It just doesn't, you know, you buy for the fundamentals for the reasons you buy gold and silver.
Well, they call that in Spanish mente muerta. And in German, it's Gehirntod. And in French, it's el fou. And what it means is you're brain dead.
No, it is just a movement. So again, we're back to can't pay any attention to these people. You stick to the fundamentals. It's too important to preserve what you have. And that's the bottom line.
Yep.
Here's a different topic, and then we'll close it out for the day. It's regarding 911, the black boxes. Did they ever retrieve any of the black boxes and never any of these so-called planes?
Of course not. I mean, when you create a criminal act and you're part of the government, you don't produce any evidence. You don't have to. Just criminals.
Yep. Nobody asks about it either, do they? Hey,
well, the people who follow 9/11 do, but
yeah,
it'll all be exposed someday, and the Bushes and Clintons and people like that will laugh all the way to the bank. Yeah. The only thing they forget is where they're going. They can't use money.
Yeah.
Dumb. They are dumb.
800-375-4188. Don't be dumb. Give us a call at Discount Gold and Silver Trading for all your gold and silver coin needs here at Discount Gold and Silver. 800-375-4188. Please use that number, too, for your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. 800-375-4188. Bob, thank you for joining us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the past almost 7 years. The younger we get, don't we? 800.
You were 25 when I met you.
Yes, that is correct. A lot of people out there believe I'm that young, but they can keep believing that. Hey, we'll be back. We'll be back on Wednesday, folks. And Bob, you're only 60, right?
They tell me I look younger than that.
Yeah. You're only 55. 800-375-4188. Tune in on Wednesday. We'll be back until then. Be safe. Good night, and God bless. And thank you all. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.